Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In this video we'll be trying out a new TAILWIND VGC team. Let's get into it. My opponent leads with the Tornadus Incineroars, and I start with the Raikou Amoonguss. He goes right for the Fake Out, but thanks for inner focus, I don't flinch. I set up the Rage Power, he goes for the Taunt, I'm able to finally fire up the Thunderbolt and get some good damage on Tornadus. I then switch into the Tailwind Setter, my Iron Jugulis, as he gets up his own Tailwind, but then I take him out with Thunderbolt. He goes for the knockoff Raikou, just hangs on. His next Pokemon is the Gold Dango. He's able to outspeed, go for the Dazzling Gleam, take out my Raikou and do some big damage to Iron Jugulis. I'm able to finally set up my own Tailwind, but I eventually go down to the knockoff. After losing both of my Mons, I then go into my Landers and bring back out the Amoonguss. He switches out the Gold Dango and goes into his Ogerpon Wellspring. I set up the Rage Powder and go for the Sandshear Storm, take out the Incineroar. My opponent then brings the Gold Dango back out. As I go for the Terror Poison, tank the Ivy Cudgel, I'm able to retaliate with the Sludge Bomb, take out the Ogerpon Wellspring. Unfortunately, Gold Dango still chilling over there, goes for the Make It Rain, takes down my Landorus and gets some good damage on my Amoonguss. I then fire up the Foul Play, but unfortunately it's not enough. He then goes for the Terra Steel to get rid of his Ghost type, goes for the Shadow Ball, gets some good damage. I go for another Foul Play, but do barely anything. Unfortunately for me, Amoonguss just does not pack enough strength. He then goes for the Nasty Plot, gets those boosts, I go for another Foul Play, he just hangs on. Next turn, he's able to go for the Make It Rain, do some huge damage, and finally take out my Amoonguss. Good game. Alrighty, let's get into game number 2. I start with the Raikou and the Landorus this time, as my opponent goes with the Grimmsnarl Archerelodon. I immediately switch into my Iron Jugulis to try to get the Tailwind up as he goes for the Terror Bug, sets up the Light Screen, and eats up that Earth Power with no problem. He then fires off the Snarl, gets some good damage and lowers the special attack of both my Mons. With the lowered special attack, I then go into my Entei, set up my Tailwind and tank that Flash Cannon no problem. He fires off the Spirit Break, takes out my Iron Jugulis. I then go into my Landorus, as he sets up the Reflect with the Grimmsnarl and is able to tank that Sludge Bomb, go for the Flare Blitz, do some good damage to the bridge. Unfortunately unable to take him down as he goes for the Snarl, misses the Entei but gets a special attack drop on Landorus. He then switches into the Sinestro, gets some health back for the bridge, I fire off the Sludge Bomb, do barely anything. I follow that up with the Flare Blitz though and take out the Sinestro. Unfortunately though, the recoil drops me down to my Berry, as my opponent charges up an Electroshock. Off of the KO, my opponent brings in his Pelipper, gets the Rain going. I just have to switch into my Raikou, go for the Sludge Bomb, do barely anything to the bridge, give him another defense boost. He fires off the Electroshock, does barely anything to my Raikou. Goes for the Muddy Water, Raikou just hangs on but gets the accuracy drop. After all that, his Tailwind finally goes away, allowing me to outspeed. I go for the Thunderbolt, take out the Pelipper in one shot, go for the Sludge Bomb, get a crit, take out the bridge. My opponent then goes into his last Pokemon, the Grimmsnarl, goes for the Sucker Punch, able to take out the Landorus. I go for the Thunderbolt, take out the Grimmsnarl. Good game. Alrighty, let's get into game number 3. They start off with the Landorus Urshifu combination. I start off with the Raikou Gyarados combo. Thankfully, I'm able to get the early Intimidate and that huge damage on the Urshifu with the Thunderbolt, even get the Lucky Para. He fires off the Wild Ball Storm, does huge damage to Gyarados while Raikou tanks that no problem. I go for the Icy Wind, do a little bit of damage, lower their speed. Urshifu goes for the U-turn and uses the pivot into the Chien-Pao. Trying to preserve my Gyarados, I then switch into my Landorus. He goes for the Sacred Sword, Raikou just hangs on, eats the Berry. Fire off a Thunderbolt, do some good damage to Thundurus. He fires off another Wild Void Storm, does barely anything to both of my Mons. I then switch into my Iron Jugulis as he decides to set up the bulk up with the Thundurus. He then fires off the Sacred Sword to my Landorus, does some decent damage but I'm able to fire back the Earth Power, take him out in one shot. My opponent then switches back into the weakened Urshifu, goes for the Terra Water, sets up the Rain Dance with Thundurus, goes for the Aqua Jet, takes out my Landorus. Thankfully, Iron Jugulis is able to connect with the Air Slash and get some revenge for Landorus. I then go into my Raikou as they go into their Iron Hands. I'm able to go for the Rain Boosted Scald on the Thundurus, and finally take him out to Dark Pulse. Iron Hands then goes for the Drain Punch and takes out my Raikou. I then go into my last Pokemon, the Gyarados, get the Intimidate on the Iron Hands, able to connect with the Air Slash, do some good damage. He goes for the Wild Charge, cleans up the Gyarados but takes some recoil. Trying to sell it a little bit more, he goes for the Protect. My Air Slash does absolutely nothing. On the next turn, I go for the Terra Steel, anticipating the electric move, go for the Air Slash, he just hangs on, he's able to go for the Drain Punch, get some good damage, and get a nice chunk of his health back. On the next turn, I go for the Air Slash, able to clean up the Iron Hands. Good game. Alrighty, and that's the video. Please let me know what you guys think down below, and stay tuned for future content. Peace.